Hey, everyone. Today's video tells a true strategic story that's even more ironic than any movie. An underground missile city that took 20 years to build, cost hundreds of billions of dollars, and hollowed out an entire island after firing just once. It lost its most crucial weapon forever, not the missiles, but its stealth. The protagonist of this story is Iran. The setting is the Strait of Hormuz, and the adversary is the nation with the world's most powerful reconnaissance capabilities, the United States. If you think this is a battle that can't be won, you're right. But what can't be won is never the missiles, it's the strategy. Site 20 years to build a city of silence. The story begins on Iran's Qishm Island. Qishm Island is no ordinary island. It is the largest island in the Persian Gulf, and more importantly, it's right in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz. This is the world's busiest choke point for oil transportation. Any weapons deployed on this island can target all passing oil tankers and warships within seconds. So Iran made a decision to transform the entire island into an underground fortress. Starting in the mid-2000 seconds, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard mobilized massive engineering resources to carve out a vast underground world beneath the island's hard rock and salt layers. Inside, there are missile assembly workshops, anti-ship cruise missile depots, hidden harbors for speedboats, command and control centers, fuel and ammunition storage areas, and even living quarters for personnel. The entire underground complex is divided into multiple independent sections, each separated by blast-proof doors. Even if one section is destroyed, the rest can continue to operate independently. But the most crucial weapon in this system is neither missiles nor speedboats, it is silence. The Iranian commanders enforce extremely strict electronic silence protocols. Radars turned off. Radars silenced. Missile launcher stationary. Tunnel entrances camouflaged as natural hillsides. Exits all sealed. This single principle has been adhered to for a full 20 years. U.S. reconnaissance satellites scan the area several times a day, and high-altitude drones patrol around the clock, yet they have never detected any heat signatures, radio waves, or unusual activity. If you can't hear it or see it, it might as well not exist. This is the first layer of logic behind Iran's strategy. As long as they can't find me, they won't dare touch me. This gate has not been opened in 20 years. This silent deterrent strategy has indeed worked over the past 20 years. Although the U.S. knows Iran has hidden assets on Qishm Island and along the coast, it has no clue where exactly they are, how many there are, or how to strike them. As long as Iran remains inactive, the U.S. military lacks precise coordinates and, consequently, a viable strike plan. And this is precisely the balance Iran seeks most. I use a potential threat to keep you in check, and because of this uncertainty, you dare not act rashly. There is only one prerequisite for all of this. This door must absolutely not be opened. Once it is opened, the silence is broken. Once the silence is broken, the shield shatters. The Iranians themselves know this. But the problem is political pressure, economic collapse, and domestic discontent. All these external factors ultimately forced Iran into an extreme position. They decided to open the door. Why did they have to open the door? The economy has already collapsed. Before discussing this military operation, we must clarify its background. In 2026, Iran's economy was teetering on the brink of collapse. Official inflation was nearing 70%, and the actual rise in prices was far higher than that. The price of basic bread had doubled, and cooking oil had tripled. Ordinary families could barely afford meat and vegetables anymore. Even more alarming was the currency. It took 1.5 million rials to exchange for just $1 dollar overnight. The savings held by ordinary people became worthless. Banks closed, businesses went bankrupt, internet access was intermittent, and even mid-level white-collar workers began lining up for welfare. The governor of the Central Bank of Iran personally went to see the president and said the following to his face: "If we don't restore the internet, negotiate, and call a ceasefire, this country will be completely bankrupt within 10 years. You heard that right, the central bank governor is begging the president to negotiate with the enemy. This isn't a political statement, it's pure mathematics. But the military commanders of the Revolutionary Guards don't see it that way. Their logic is, the weaker we appear, the more the U.S. will oppress us. Only by striking a hard blow proving we can inflict heavy damage on you. As forces can we force the U.S. back to the negotiating table and compel Gulf states and Europe to make concessions to us. So, they turned their attention to the Strait of Hormuz and the three U.S. missile destroyers passing through it. 5V. The attack begins. They thought their prey was caught in the net. One day in May 2026, an Iranian commander issued the final order. Open all tunnel gates. Activate all radars. Launch everything that can be launched. Deploy all speedboats simultaneously. Minus saturation attack. This attack was designed around the saturation strike theory, the core tenet of Iranian military doctrine. Specifically, no matter how powerful a U.S. destroyer is, the number of its vertical launch cells is limited. If you launch 100 targets at once and it takes out 80, 20 will still hit. What if I launch 500 at once? Its system will be overloaded, its missiles will be exhausted, and the speedboats charging in from behind can't deliver the finishing blow. This is the classic logic of a small country facing a major power overwhelming quality with quantity. Hundreds of drones take off from concealed coastal launch sites, dozens of cruise missiles are fired from inland locations, and hundreds of speedboats surge out of tunnels, charging frantically toward 3 U.S. Navy destroyers. Iranian commanders stare at their screens, the corners of their mouths curving upward. They believe this will be the battle that reshapes the balance of power in the Middle East. But they are wrong. And they are wrong in the most complete sense. The U.S. military had been waiting for this moment for a long time. The moment Iran's radars came online, missiles were ignited, and speedboats left port. It wasn't just their weapons that were exposed, it was every single coordinate accumulated over decades of silence. The U.S. military had been waiting right there, waiting for exactly this moment. Not waiting to be attacked, but waiting for you to expose yourselves. As the Iranian missile swarm flew toward the destroyers, the U.S. Navy's ship-based Aegis combat system activated instantly. This system is essentially a super-digital brain. It can simultaneously track hundreds of aerial targets, instantly distinguish between bird flocks, passenger planes, and missiles, and then automatically assign the most appropriate interceptor weapons. SM-2 and SM-6 interceptor missiles roared out of the vertical launch cells, weaving a web of fire in the sky. Every Iranian missile that entered the interception zone was precisely shot down head-on. At the same time, U.S. electronic warfare systems unleashed a barrage of jamming signals, directly blinding the terminal guidance systems of the Iranian missiles, causing them to plunge headfirst into the sea. But the most devastating part was yet to come. Because the Iranian speedboats were the real decoys. As hundreds of speedboats surged out of concealed exits and raced toward open waters, the U.S. military's countermeasures were fully activated. High in the sky, F-35 stealth fighters, their transponders already turned off, circled at high altitude, waiting. Below the surface, Apache attack helicopters skimmed the water, approaching undetected. The moment the Iranian speedboats entered open waters, they were immediately locked onto by U.S. sensors. What followed was not a battle, it was a one-sided massacre. Hellfire missiles rained down with precision from the sky. The speedboats didn't even have a chance to approach the destroyers before they were blown to pieces right in the shipping lane. The F-35 seconds used advanced electro-optical targeting systems to systematically eliminate the remaining targets in the drone launch sites along the coast. The entire operation took less than half an hour. The 3 U.S. destroyers didn't even lose a single chip of paint, with 0 casualties. Iran's meticulously planned saturation attack was completely dismantled. The real disaster, the cost of exposure, is heavier than defeat. At that moment, Iranian commanders may not have realized the failure of the physical attack was merely a superficial loss. The true disaster occurred the instant they ordered activate radars, launch missiles, and deploy speedboats. Because during those 20 minutes, Iran did something they had spent 20 years desperately trying to avoid. They eliminated the darkness. Every radar that was turned on was pinpointed by U.S. electronic reconnaissance systems. The flight path of every missile was fully recorded by satellites and early warning aircraft. Every tunnel exit from which a speedboat emerged was marked by sonar and radar. Every launch site was detected by infrared sensors emitting heat signatures. Before the day was over, U.S. Central Command had obtained a complete list of targets with precise GPS coordinates. The list included all underground tunnel entrances, all hidden speedboat harbors, all missile launch sites, all command and communications nodes, all ventilation and power facilities. An underground city that took 20 years and hundreds of billions of dollars to build after a single battle, all its coordinates were wiped out. The subsequent U.S. military retaliatory strikes were so precise they bordered on inhuman. They knew exactly where the vulnerabilities of each facility lay: ventilation shafts, entrance ramps, and power access points. Precision-guided munitions pierced directly through these weak points and detonated deep underground. Tunnel entrances were blown in, ventilation systems were destroyed, and command centers were razed to the ground. Facilities built over 20 years were reduced to a pile of rubble in a matter of hours. The deadliest consequence, the collapse of domestic trust. But that's not all. While Iranian state television broadcast victory footage and claimed that U.S. forces had suffered heavy losses, ordinary Iranians had already seen the truth via VPNs and satellite TV. S warships remained unscathed, while thick smoke billowed from Iranian coastal bases. These ordinary people are already suffering from soaring prices, the devaluation of their savings to zero, and a wave of unemployment. What they saw was, the government is lying to us about a victory, but we can barely afford bread anymore. The very foundation upon which the Revolutionary Guards maintained their authority, the myth of the invincible missile city collapsed completely at that moment. Once military credibility is shattered, the regime's legitimacy begins to crumble. The remaining cards are all dead ends. Iran now faces a dilemma. Every available option is a dead end. Midas attacks Saudi Arabia and the UAS oil pipelines. That would drag the entire Gulf region into war, solidifying their alignment with the U.S. Midas lay more mines in shipping lanes. The U.S. and man counter Midas mine systems monitor them in real time. Every mine laid would be neutralized immediately. Midas got undersea internet cables. That would be tantamount to declaring war on the entire world, not even China, or Russia would defend it at the United Nations anymore. No matter which card is played, the outcome will be worse than doing nothing at all. As for the U.S. military, this target database has already been integrated into its combat systems and will never expire. Even if Iran were to rebuild its infrastructure, the U.S. could launch precision strikes the moment it is exposed again. 20 years of accumulated covert advantages wiped out forever with a single shot. The true lesson of this story. Looking back, Iran's strategy seemed clever on the surface: dig deep, hide well, and stay still, forcing the opponent to be wary. But it made 3 fatal mistakes. First, it equated not being detected with safety. But true security lies in daring to use your weapons without fear of exposure. If you dare not use them, they're nothing more than high minus N paperweights. Second, it allowed military logic to hijack national strategy. The economy had already collapsed, and the central bank governor was begging on his knees for negotiations, but military commanders, for the sake of face and ideology, insisted on going to war. The military should not make diplomatic decisions on behalf of the nation, especially when you cannot win. Third, they underestimated their opponent's patience. The U.S. wasn't in a hurry to strike because it couldn't hit its target accurately. It kept waiting for you to reveal your position. After waiting 20 years, it finally got what it was waiting for. So, for all those who believe that hiding means safety, here's a lesson from this story. No matter how well you hide, the moment you fire a single shot, hunters from all over the world will know your location. Iran spent 20 years and tens of billions of dollars digging into a mountain to turn it into a secret missile city. But they forgot. The biggest secret about this city isn't where it is. It's that the moment its doors open, it's no longer secret. As always, this in minus depth analysis deserves your likes and shares. Let more friends see the brutal logic behind this strategic self-minus destruction. Let me know in the comments which direction you'd like me to explore further. Minus the technical details of how the U.S. Navy's Aegis system intercepts saturation attacks. Minus the ripple effects of Iran's domestic economic collapse. Minus or the ultimate outcome of this anti-minus submarine versus anti-minus on alarms race. I'll read every comment, and the next installment will be based on your suggestions. Follow me, and together we'll cut through the fog to see deep into the chessboard.